Note 1. Once you have written all of the elements of the methods section, subsequent revisions should focus on how to present those elements as clearly and as logically as possible. Note 2. If you are conducting a qualitative analysis of a research problem, the methodology section generally requires a more elaborate description of the methods used as well as an explanation of the processes applied to gathering and analyzing data than is generally required for studies using quantitative methods. Note 3. If your study involves interviews, observations, or other qualitative techniques involving human subjects, you may be required to obtain approval from the university's Office for the Protection of Research Subjects before beginning your research. Note 4. Knowing the relationship between theories and methods. There can be multiple meanings associated with the term theories and the term methods in social sciences research. A helpful way to delineate between them is to understand theories as representing different ways of characterizing the social world when you research it, and methods as representing different ways of generating and analyzing data about that social world. Note 5. Methods and the methodology. Do not confuse the terms methods and methodology. As Schneider notes, a method refers to the technical steps taken to do research. The methodology refers to a discussion of the underlying reasoning why particular methods were used. Qualitative methods. The word qualitative implies an emphasis on the qualities of entities and on processes and meanings that are not experimentally examined or measured, if measured at all, in terms of quantity, amount, intensity, or frequency. Qualitative researchers stress the socially constructed nature of reality, the intimate relationship between the researcher and what is studied, and the situational constraints that shape inquiry. Such researchers emphasize the value-laden nature of the inquiry. They seek answers to questions that stress how social experience is created and given meaning. Characteristics of qualitative research. The design. Naturalistic refers to studying real-world situations as they unfold naturally, non-manipulative and non-controlling. The researcher is open to whatever emerges. Emergent, acceptance of adapting inquiry as understanding deepens and or situations change. The researcher avoids rigid designs that eliminate responding to opportunities to pursue new paths of discovery as they emerge. Purposeful, study cases, for example, people, organizations, communities, cultures, events, critical incidences, are selected because they are information-rich and illuminative. The collection of data. Data, observations yield a detailed, in-depth understanding. Interviews capture direct quotations about people's perspectives and lived experiences, often derived from carefully conducted case studies and reviews of material culture. Personal experience and engagement. Researcher has direct contact with and gets close to the people, situation, and phenomenon under investigation. The researcher's personal experiences and insights are an important part of the inquiry and critical to understanding the phenomenon. Empathic neutrality. An empathic stance in working with study respondents seeks vicarious understanding without judgment, neutrality, by showing openness, sensitivity, respect, awareness, and responsiveness. In observation, it means being fully present, mindfulness. Dynamic systems. There is attention to process, assumes change is ongoing, whether the focus is on an individual, an organization, a community, or an entire culture. Therefore, the researcher is mindful of and attentive to the system and situational dynamics. The analysis. Unique case orientation assumes that each case is special and unique. The first level of analysis is being true to, respecting, and capturing the details of the individual cases being studied. Cross-case analysis follows from and depends upon the quality of individual case studies. Inductive analysis, immersion in the details and specifics of the data to discover important patterns, themes, and interrelationships, begins by exploring, then confirming findings, guided by analytical principles rather than rules. Holistic perspective, the whole phenomenon under study is understood as a complex system that is more than the sum of its parts. The focus is on complex interdependencies and system dynamics that cannot be reduced in any meaningful way to linear, cause and effect relationships or a few discrete variables. Context sensitive, places findings in a social, historical, and temporal context. The researcher is careful about the possibility or meaningfulness of generalizations across time and space, emphasizes careful comparative case study analysis and extrapolating patterns for possible transferability and adaptation in new settings. Voice, perspective, and reflexivity. The qualitative methodologist owns and is reflective about her or his voice and perspective. A credible voice conveys authenticity and trustworthiness, complete objectivity being impossible and pure subjectivity undermining credibility. The researcher's focus reflects a balance between understanding and depicting the world authentically in all its complexity and of being self-analytical, politically aware, and reflexive in consciousness. Basic research design for qualitative studies. According to Maxwell, 2009, there are 5, not necessarily ordered or sequential, components in qualitative research designs. How they are presented depends upon the research philosophy and theoretical framework of the study, the methods chosen, and the general assumptions underpinning the study. Why and why nots of using qualitative methods. Obtain a more realistic view of the lived world. Provide the researcher with the perspective of the participants of the study. Allow the researcher to describe existing phenomena and current situations. Develop flexible ways to perform data collection, subsequent analysis, and interpretation of collected information. Yield results that can be helpful in pioneering new ways of understanding. Provide a holistic view of the phenomena under investigation. Respond to local situations, conditions, and needs of participants. Interact with the research subjects in their language and on their terms, and create a descriptive capability based on primary and unstructured data. Some specific limitations associated with using qualitative methods in the social sciences. Replication of a study is very difficult. Research using human subjects increases the chance of ethical dilemmas that undermine the overall validity of the study. An inability to investigate causality between different research phenomena, and arrive at different, non-consistent conclusions. Data gathering and analysis are often time-consuming and expensive. Requires a high level of experience from the researcher to obtain the targeted information from the respondent. May lack consistency and reliability. Generation of a significant amount of data that cannot be randomized into manageable parts for analysis. Quantitative studies. Quantitative methods emphasize gathering numerical data with objective measurements and the statistical, mathematical, or numerical analysis of data collected through polls, questionnaires, and surveys, or by manipulating pre-existing statistical data using computational techniques to generalize it or to explain a particular phenomenon. Characteristics of quantitative research. The data is usually gathered using structured research instruments. The results are based on larger sample sizes that are representative of the population. The research study can usually be replicated or repeated, given its high reliability. The researcher has a clearly defined research question for which objective answers are sought. All aspects of the study are carefully designed before data is collected. Data are in the form of numbers and statistics, often arranged in tables, charts, figures, or other non-textual forms.